They will say it. All right, we're live. Welcome to Friend Quest Part 2, part of Friend Jam 3.0. Thanks so much for watching. Great work, everyone who's been playing so far. Some amazing artists out there. My name is Gabriel. I want to take a second to introduce our incredible players we have here, and then I'll explain what this is, because probably some people who have no idea what they're getting into, but it'll be lots of fun. Let's go from the very bottom of our screen. So Sky, Aki, and then Chris.
Oh, well,
Who are
hello.
you?
Hi, my name is Sky. I'm married to you, and I'm a few rooms over right now, so I realize that that might be something that's easy to forget. I am the producer and creative director of Friend Jam. This is my little festival, so thanks, Gabriel, for being a part of this, and thank you to the guys down there for being players in this. I am a musician, a songwriter, and a teacher at the Muse Writers Center in Norfolk, Virginia. And I'm really glad to be here today to play games.
My name is Aki. I'm a musician and writer, I guess, and also a nerd by blood, not relation. And that's mine.
All right, hi, I'm Chris. I'm new to this Friend Jam RPG experience, so I'm pretty excited. Thanks again to Sky for organizing this. I played with PC Duo in Friend Jam 1 and had an awesome time doing that, and I'm excited for more fun today.
Awesome. And yeah, like I said, I'm Gabriel. I write and play role-playing games. I'm new to streaming them, so it's super fun to take what we already do, normally just friends goofing off at a table, and share it with people who might not get to see what it's about. We're not in our mom's basements necessarily. We're just out on the internet. We're essentially making up, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're making up a story as we go along. It's entirely improvised. As the GM, the game master running it, I've got a couple things sketched out, but the players are going to fill in the rest. And sometimes we'll roll dice to see the outcome of like risky or uncertain situations. So we're using a game that's called Trophy Gold, which is normally a game about desperate treasure hunters going into dangerous places, trying to overcome challenges, kind of a dark fantasy game. But because it's such a simple rules type of system, we're using it in this way for more of a lighthearted, like a buddy movie, as it was described. Some adventurers out getting into some shenanigans, and we'll see what happens. This is continuing a game from last Friend Jam. So both Sky and Aki are going to be playing the same characters. And we'll meet Chris's character early on. Just a couple things to mention for people who aren't familiar with role-playing games. Also, we're using safety tools. So because it's an improvised game, the story can go into weird places, and it's important that anyone playing these kind of games is comfortable at the table. So we have little things in place like lines and veils, which we've talked about, where there's certain subject matter where I'm just not going to get into. There's other things that might be in the fiction, but it'll be kind of off screen. So it's sort of like a movie rating. And also the players have the ability to hit pause, fast forward, rewind at any time if they're not into where the story is going, because that's the point, is to have fun. So just like to mention that, because that's still a new thing for some people, and it's an important part of playing games. All that said, let's introduce the characters. We'll go in the same order. Sky, Aki, and Chris.
Okay, my character's name is Rose. She is, you can imagine her sort of as a Keira Knightley in Pirates of the Caribbean type character. She is a young lady who has grown up in wealth and privilege and has always longed for greater adventures than that which her money could buy her. And so she has led her adventuring companions to this ship that she believes to be her father's vessel that she hopes to commandeer so that she can do some Robin Hood-ish pirating on the Seven Seas.
And her, any skills or any things you want to mention about Rose?
Sure. She is skilled in hiding, appraisal, deception, and flattery. And she has a couple rituals that fit under that umbrella.
Cool.
And I am playing Obeha. He is an antiquarian, but sort of a disgraced. I think of him as a disgraced academic with possible arcane knowledge, who has been sort of a wanderer, but somehow has fallen in or sort of like charismaed his way into being in Rose's retinue, and so he's accompanying her on this journey. But he definitely has some self-aggrandizing desires to be like a great and noted academic wizardy kind of person. He has skills in artifacts, myths, and obfuscation, and has a few things he can do in that realm.
Awesome.
All right, I'm playing Theoden, unrelated to Lord of the Rings, and I am new to this group, so the characters have not met. He goes by Theo, have not met Theo yet. He looks sort of like Wart from the Sword in the Stone animated movie. He's a small, wiry young man. He ran away from home when he was not able to be sort of live up to his father's expectations. So he's commandeered his way onto a pirate ship of some sort, which I guess we'll learn about as the game goes on. But he is skilled in similar things to Rose, stealth, spontaneity. He's very dexterous. And with his upbringing, he has the ability to sort of appraise things of value. But I guess we'll learn more about Theo as we go along.
Awesome. It's definitely that kind of game where it's very, very minimal. You fill in all the details as you go. There's one thing, I don't know if we mentioned, I think Sky mentioned yours, but your character has a drive, which is sort of the thing they hope to achieve, which is kind of why they're going on this dangerous quest. It's game-wise, you'll probably never actually achieve it, maybe. It doesn't really matter, but it's supposed to be what's driving your character. So do you have a drive for Theoden?
I do. He wants to earn the right to his family's name, so I think he's going to say like, "I'm worth it in some way. I can do things," and that's going to be his claim to it. Maybe he can't wield a sword as good as his older brother or something, but he's going to prove himself some way or another.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that a little bit. And then I may have missed it. Was there one for Obeha and for Rose that you all want to share? Sorry, Rose.
Sorry. I mean, I think mine is just sort of like to prove that she's more than her money has made of her. To prove that she's made of more than her money.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and Obeha wants to. I took one from Rote from the book, which is Published Discoveries from Ancient Taldor, but I sort of interpret that to be that Obeha would like to collect all the greatest ancient knowledge and make himself a powerful and famous sort of like academic.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, what wizard wouldn't? Why else be a wizard?
Yeah, yeah, come on.
Awesome. Also want to mention, I'm still learning the StreamYard banner thing, but will it show now? There we go. Yeah, it should stream there. I'll turn it on and off. But, we're doing a lighthearted game for fun. We're doing, as Sky mentioned at the beginning of the festival, something that's entertaining and maybe a good escape from things, but without having time to really get into it. With recent events, there's a lot going on in the world that we kind of owe it to each other to pay attention to. And one really simple way I can just kind of plug there is, last Friend Jam we had, and maybe this one too, folks giving tips to performers, and that's awesome. I'm not asking for tips for this game, but if you feel inclined to, I would ask you to go and check out ACLU to donate to, because it's a very broad cause that covers a lot of important causes, and that's a really easy way you can just click on that and make a donation and help out. So think about that. I'll turn that on and off throughout. There we go. Yeah, I love that. Even just to make you guys gesture, that's awesome. I think I want to open this scene with Theoden, actually, to kind of set things up a little bit, and then we're going to jump over to Rose and Obeha. So, Theoden, you are on this ship, and I just want to learn a little bit about maybe how you got here. You mentioned that you commandeered your way onto the ship. Up front, there's a lot of things that have seemed a little odd about this ship and its crew. You haven't really got a lot of information about where it's going, but what is something that stands out to Theoden right away that's like maybe just unusual about this ship?
Oh, let's say that although I have to clean and swab many a deck, I'm never allowed in the captain's quarters. They're always closed and dark, and I'm never allowed inside.
Yeah, definitely. It's above your rank and all that too, it sounds like. Yeah, so have you just you're kind of here for the ride, seeing where it goes next to try and earn your way? Do you
Yes, I want
have
to
any
see other lands and other areas besides where I grew up.
Excellent. Yeah, I think there's another thing you haven't seen before on ships is throughout the wood of the ship, the timbers looks like they've been carved. Sometimes it's very subtle. It looks almost like when someone's carved into a picnic bench. But these are just like, at first they seem ornamental. You first notice it on all the sort of the banners. And sorry, I don't know ship terms at all. But any sort of like banners or on the mast. Even sometimes like maybe woven into the edges of the sails, it looks like there's runes or just ornamental shapes that don't have any clear purpose. Something a little unusual. Also, the crew don't really seem to talk a lot amongst themselves. They seem very just standoffish, very quiet. That's kind of all you notice so far. It's just a little bit odd, but they've accepted you. You've got work that you can do, and it is the morning. Preparations are underway for the voyage ahead. And in the middle of it, you notice two figures you hadn't seen before that have somehow made their way onto the ship. And right away, you notice they kind of have that stance about them that they're like trying to blend in. Like they know they're probably not supposed to be here, or they don't quite know, what's going on. So you recognize that immediately from your past adventures as far as their body language. And Rose and Obeha, you are now on the ship. The crew is just making the usual kind of preparations, checking ropes, moving gear around and stuff like that. What do you do?
Oh, we have new visitors on this ship. I never see anybody new on this ship. I wonder what they're here for. And I'm sort of talking out loud because no one responds to me. So I'm just saying, like, all my thoughts are out loud. I have no inner monologue.
Oh, we appear new. I thought we were doing a great job of just looking like regular people who'd been here forever.
Yes.
Oh, you're speaking to me.
And sailoring and such. Yes, you there.
Oh, yes. My name is Theo. Welcome aboard our vessel. I don't know what it's called. I probably should.
Oh.
All right, real quick. What's it called? Or Rose, yeah.
Wait, I feel like we came up with this last time.
Did we rename it?
Did I? I didn't write it down. So it's called the Unnamed Lady.
Ooh.
The nameless lady.
The Nameless, which is
It's actually
unusual
called-
too.
yeah.
Maybe. Go ahead.
No, on the ship on the side, unnamed is crossed out and nameless is written out.
Yep.
Nice.
The nameless lady.
The Nameless Lady.
And we should also mention just really briefly that if at any point in the game there's anything that gets said where we're kind of like talking amongst ourselves and we're not sure what the answer is, you all who are watching are welcome to leave as comments, suggestions, and if we like them and we see them, we may pick them. So please help mold the story as you watch, if any of you are watching.
And perhaps name the lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or tell
We'll
us
find
why
the
she is
backstory.
unnamed.
Indeed.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, what brings
and-
you aboard the ship? I could show you this side of the deck or this side of the deck, and that's really all I've seen.
Well, this is actually my family's ship. I grew up here, and then, spent more time around the estate, and so I haven't been here in a while. But I'm just, trying to get my sea legs again. Is that what they say? Sea legs?
Yeah, that sounds very, very sailory to me.
And this I'm Rose. So this is my family's ship. I don't know the lady who was the unnamed lady who it was named for. I think perhaps my mother. I'm not sure. But this is my colleague and friend Obeha. We just came from the Azure archives. Very important missions we've been on. But
Yes, of course, yes.
ready for this leg of adventure on the Seven Seas.
Tio, then you do notice, in addition to their kind of awkward trying to like look like they belong, their body language, you see Obeha's got like Obeha, do you have like a satchel or like pockets or something in your robes? What do you
Yeah,
how do you
I
carry
have
stuff?
robes with many pockets and a satchel. I have many secret compartments about my person.
Ooh.
Yeah. He's got many of those and there's a
And
point where
I
there's
fiddle
like a
with them.
yeah. There's like a scroll almost falling out and he like tucks it back in like it's like ordering it. Like it looks like he's a little maybe like he just ran out of a magic library carrying a bunch of scrolls or not.
No. Yes. They were a delight at the Azure Archive, but we did have to leave in time to catch the ship, so it's can't be helped. But all is well. So where are we headed, Theo?
Well, onto the water as far as I've gotten. Not
And
quite
actually,
sure
as
what
you
direction.
say, as you mentioned getting on the way, you feel a sudden like rumbling in the boat, just like surges forward a little bit. And you look in all the, again, don't know nautical terms, sorry. Everything has been cast off or ropes have been pulled in and such. And the boat seems to have just started up and is moving. There's like a strange, like almost hum to it. And this is generically like, maybe we're like in a Renaissance setting, so there's no like electricity or anything like that. You
Is
feel
there a
strange-
captain or anything that we see?
I'm looking around the deck. There are various crew. They're all not really looking directly at you. They're just kind of going about their business, kind of trying to avoid attention. There's no clear captain or order that was shouted out or anything. It just kind of started up and is moving along.
Well, that's how it goes. I've never actually met the captain. He's always in his cabin, but I'm not allowed in there, and all the windows are quite dark. You, sir, seem to be carrying quite a lot of paraphernalia. If you wish, I could bring it below decks and keep it in a safe location.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing what accommodation you have below decks, but I am a veritable walking library. I don't like to be far from my various tomes of knowledge and reference.
Very fair.
matter
Just
of
watch
fact,
out,
I am
because water
unencumbered.
and books don't mix.
Yes, so I've heard.
I mean, I understand the captain normally doesn't see people, but perhaps he would, happily converse with someone from the family who owned this ship. And I'm hoping that we could strike up some sort of a working relationship, because I got on this ship not to be just part of the crew. I have great goals and ambition.
Listen, Theo, we're bringing you into our confidence. We have intentions to take over this ship.
That's right. We're taking over the ship.
We're taking over the ship. And quite frankly, you're with us. You're our conspire in arms. We'd like to see this captain, and perhaps we can have a peacefully come to some sort of agreement. But as
I
we're
can kind
underway,
of see. I've met people of your station before. You think you can get your way with your money, and I tell you, maybe that will work.
Oh,
I've never
no,
seen
no,
it
no.
happen.
It's not
Money.
about the money. We actually, I really want little to do with my money anymore. I really just want to be an adventurer. I want to go out and make the world a better place. Take from the rich and give to the broke
To
people.
us,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, and
take from
we
the rich
haven't.
and give.
Yeah, give to the ACLU.
Yes.
Yeah, down below.
There you there
There
it
it
goes.
is.
There it
Yes.
is.
That's right. So my thought is Theo. Or Theo. I'm not
Theo.
really sure how
Theo's-
to pronounce
it's
your name.
great. Thank
Theo. Beautiful. We may not have talked very long. We may not have really exchanged much more than pleasantries, but we can tell, Obeha and I, and I know that we can tell because we share one mind with that close of friends,
Yes.
that we like the cut of your jib, and you seem like an earnest chap, so why not join us in our taking over of this ship?
Yes.
In our
Yes,
Let's
and I
keep
now
the
go
mutiny
to-
on the
yes,
DL, shall
not a
we?
mutiny, more of an acquisition, an aggressive acquisition of said ship, which belongs rightfully to Rose and her family. So it's not like it's
Well,
a mutiny, so to speak.
I'll tell you what, I've met many people of the aristocracy, and you are different than many of the people I've met at court. And honestly, I haven't talked to this many people in quite a few weeks. The rest of the crew here don't talk very much at all. So I would be happy to accompany you.
Excellent. Shall we
Go ahead.
turn
I was
to
going to jump
Gabriel and
in.
ask what's next?
Yeah, our 2-hour game. Just to flesh it out. Yeah, obviously it's always like, well, we all have to work together, and it's kind of shoving you into this quest. But to fill out the fiction a little bit, I want to have both Rose and Obeha. If there's anything you notice about Theoden that maybe you can feel like you can trust him, or you get the impression that maybe he's kind of at the bottom of the ladder here, and he might be willing to try to improve his position a little bit. Any appearance, or you can chime in too, Chris. Anything about your appearance or the work he's doing?
I would say if we have a similar skill set, that I probably notice. I probably notice his kind of giving me the appraisal, the once over of what I've got on me, and that I kind of notice we're of like mind in that way, that we're both sort of like looking for a way in or a way
Right.
up. And
Even though I may look like a lower cabin boy, maybe I'm looking sort of down my nose at you. Like I have mannerisms of someone of a higher status, but I look really low.
yeah, I was just mainly
Okay,
thinking
nice.
like I learned in my way back in my estate how to sort of, judge somebody right off the bat, and I see you doing that too, and I'm like, oh, we've got the same.
We're all just kind of like,
Yeah.
And I think Obeha has noticed that Theo, the other people about the ship don't seem very malleable, just from loitering here for a moment. And this Theo seems like someone who could be talked to.
We're going to get to that too, but it's almost like he's the most animated, like naturally moving and speaking person, and everyone else seems almost just like stiff and like
I'm the least
starting to
reanimated
tickle the back
person on
of
this
your
vessel.
mind. Something is like reminding you of something you're not quite sure what. We'll come back to that.
I feel like it's reminding me of another game we've played. But I could be.
I totally never repeat all the same themes and everything. Don't worry. So I want to get into a dice roll. Really cool thing about Trophy is it combines a lot of stuff into very efficient, simple rolls. We don't have to do a whole bunch of skill checks to find the one clue. And the other thing is that I tell you information out of character and in character, so we don't have to spend an hour again trying to figure out what's going on. So out of character, I give you a goal for this set. So you've already kind of got there role-playing wise, talking about taking control of the vessel. But the goal of the set is to figure out, what did I write down? We'll take control of the ship and basically learn how to do that because there's something special about it. It's not a normal ship. So we're going to have you do in character. You don't really know that yet. But out of character, that's your sort of goal for this section. Once you figure that out through your own solutions and dice rolls or whatever, you'll sort of met that goal and we can move to other things. So does anyone, you mentioned go into the cabin's quarters. That would be one approach. Is there any other approach anyone wants to take, or you want to go for that?
I was mainly going to say to Obeha, you seemed the learned sort, and I tell you, I've been trying to find the name of this lady the entire time I've been on the ship, and the only clue I've had is these strange markings that the crew keeps carving in there. I thought it was some sort of secret codex or something, but I can't seem to decipher it.
Well, I'm very good at deciphering things.
Good, 'cause
and
I'm
I'm
bad.
very good at finding hidden knowledge. So perhaps after we've commandeered, that's the word I've been looking for. After we've gently commandeered the ship, we should take a look at
Gingerly.
these markings. Gingerly, oh so tentatively commandeered the ship.
Dear the vessel.
Yes.
Actually, we could do that as part of it. So if you want to do a hunt roll, it could be looking at those markings to learn some clues.
I would happily do so.
Let's do, yeah. You have the dice roller?
Yes, and I put some dice in there. But for the audience, not because I need a refresher. What am I doing?
Right. Oh, very, very good. So you get one dice for looking at the world and asking questions. And then if you have any skills or using equipment or the environment to help you do that, you can add another light dice.
Well, I am good at artifacts and myth.
Oh, yeah.
So that
makes
seems
sense.
like a thing I would do. So this is 2 light die, or is this 1 light die added because of that and 1 dark die?
2 light dice because it's a hunt roll. It's just your sort of
Nice.
investigation all around check.
Those are the 2 things I can think of. So I'm rolling for hunt. Roll, baby. 2 1s.
Woo!
Oh no, 1 and a 2. A 1
Okay.
and a 2. Not snake eyes.
So, nice. I don't even have the rules pulled up, but basically, in a hunt roll, it's basically most of the time something disturbing or even dangerous comes up. You're on a ship, so who knows? But basically, you're looking at the different carvings and runes, and the sort of terrible or disturbing thing that comes up. The weird thing we'll say is that you recognize that there's some sort of, they're definitely inscriptions. There's sort of spell work put into the actual structure of the boat. And you realize this whole thing is animated somehow, that the magic carved into it is what is making it move, not the crew.
The
Woo!
ship. I don't know much about these markings, but it appears the ship is actually moving via magical means. Theo, what have you been doing on the ship?
Swabbing. Many swabbings. You say magic. Now,
Magic.
I don't believe in such things unless this is a high magic fantasy world I don't know I'm a part of, but I don't think I've ever seen magic before at all.
Well, magic is a strange and fell power that moves through all the living and non-living things of this world and universe. But it's not the magic of your picture books. It's magic is a force like gravity or forces.
In the
I feel like while we were in the Azure archives, my eyes may have gone past a book that was called something like glyph motorology.
Okay.
And it was something about the study and practice of glyphs motoring vessels.
So
I
you
don't
want to
know.
be a glyph motorologist. Volumes 1 through 6.
You totally saw it and you're like, that's so obscure. There's no way that would
Never
be
gonna need
remotely
that. That'll never
useful.
come in
You
handy.
Passed right over it. Yeah.
But somehow it was stored in my cranium all the same.
Yes, I think the ship is being moved by something I might call glyph motorology.
Is this something like sailing?
It's
call
like
that
sailing, but yes, it's like sailing, only it's not.
It's not the power of the wind. It's the power of within.
Within, yes,
The power from within.
the power from within.
Well, I do release wind sometimes, but it
Yes.
doesn't move the boat, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, this boat captures wind, and I don't know actually. I'm making things up, but I have some conjectures, and I have to look closely at this.
Seems like we're all
So
making
that's-
things up.
So while he's been looking at
very
that,
meta.
indeed.
Meta.
What-
I hardly know it. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. What are Rose and Tio up to while Obeha's looking at the runes. Anything you want to do to help? So again, out of character, you're trying to figure out how to take control of the ship. You've got so far the cabin is one option. You've got, and I'm supposed to give you more details than I have really. Again, you noticed how the ship kind of just started off on its own, which would kind of make sense with what he said. You also noticed the crew is very kind of stiff and not very talkative, and unclear what they're really doing if they're not making the ship go. You can also just like describe a thing you want to check out and poke around and investigate, and we'll go from there.
Also, I don't know if you want to incorporate this, but Theo basically insinuated that the crew is carving or tending these glyphs as the ship is moving. Right?
Ooh,
So-
I like that. Yeah.
That's what
I don't know.
I've noticed is that they do it sort of like they don't speak to each other a lot and they don't do a lot of looks to be useful ship things, but they're carving these symbols for some reason or another. I thought maybe it's a tally. Maybe it's what they want for dinner.
Ooh, I like that they're adding to it. Yeah, so it almost looks like they're just very, just like very picky, small detail, like polishing these things. But then sometimes they're just going over and making sure like the carving's still there. One time when you looked and you thought like, oh, they've hired a crew of decorators or something, maybe. But you can investigate that too.
I
Up to
figured
you.
Theo is with Obeha showing him the markings, and Rose maybe is somewhere else. I don't know.
I think if you all didn't instruct me or plead otherwise, I would probably be trying to go down to rap upon the door of the captain's quarters.
Sure.
To try to again, very, very cocky, but sort of just being like, I'm just going to go tell him what's what. And this is how it's going down.
Yeah. Again, if anyone knows anything about ships, feel free to chime in somewhere. But that's usually like the cabin that's on the deck, right? That's what we're picturing. That there's
Like
sort of
the
like a back.
bigger-
Mhm.
Yeah.
Towards the rear,
Yeah. There's like a door.
poop deck.
Yeah. It's
Right,
like
right below that.
it's kind of the penthouse of the ship.
Right.
It's
Yeah. And you go up to that door, and you notice the border of it. Can't think of terms. Anyway, the frame is very beautifully ornately carved. It's almost like it looks like it's braided like Celtic knotwork around it. A lot of like sea motifs, like seaweed and mermaids and nautical themes and stuff like that. Very finely made and heavy door. It's got a knocker on it that looks like a big scallop shell metal piece hanging there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would tell them that I was going to do this, so I don't know if anyone would try to steer me otherwise or would just let me go.
No, go
I don't
for
know
it.
how much I might say something like, "Oh, you don't want to do that," because whenever I get near it, I notice the crew like looks towards me, like kind of Inception style, where they're like, "You shouldn't be doing that." But I don't know if that's something I can say.
Yeah, I'll be like,
Sure.
I'll be like, pish posh, it'll be fine. I've got this. And yeah, I'll just go up and knock upon the shell knocker.
Yeah, you knock. It's heavy. There's definitely a hollow sound behind it. There's no immediate answer.
I'll knock again.
There's still, no immediate answer. You see some of the crew who've been kind of carving the things kind of turn and look towards you. Let's have you make a hunt roll just for checking this situation out, seeing what you find.
Okay.
So any skills or any skills or equipment or anything you're using?
I mean, I'm using the skill of flattery in the sense of if anyone should answer or if anyone should come look my way, I'm probably going to be very sort of,
Probably like beautiful work, amazing.
Oh,
ship.
thank you so much. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
All right.
does that give me one extra?
Yeah,
or does that
just
just give me one? Okay.
2 light dice. Yeah, it's not a risk
Okay.
roll yet or anything.
Got it. All right. We got a 3 and a 1.
Ooh,
So still, yeah. So, and again, out of character, the way the game works, if you roll a 4 or higher, you get a token. if you get 3 tokens, you can trade one in for a treasure, or you can trade them in to sort of complete the goal of the set. So it gives you as players quite a bit of narrative control to just be like, you know what, I think we figured this part out if you want to.
Okay.
But that hasn't happened quite yet. So two things that you notice from that: you're knocking, the door's hollow. You knock it again; it kind of swings in a little bit on its own. It's dark inside, and you notice that one of the crew members who is kind of polishing some of the carved wood on one side. Again, none of them seem to be doing any of your usual like adjusting sails and ropes. They're just kind of tending and maintaining, almost like they're maintaining a big antique. And you see one of the crew turn towards you, and you swear they're wearing a mask. And I think then you recognize, here's the terrible thing you notice, having come out of the archives and seeing those archive assistants that were mannequins. They were just animated, carved, assembled, apparently sentient statues. You realize this crew member and maybe the other ones are all mannequins. They're not human. And it just kind of regards you, and it's a beautifully like polished light driftwood mask, and there's like some blue stone set in there for eyes, but it's pretty creepy. But it just kind of regards you while it's polishing and just kind of stops and watches to see what you do.
I'm gonna be like, Theo.
I don't know if I'm
Come
in
here,
earshot, but if
just
I
come
am,
here. Come here.
Jump in whenever.
1 second, Obey. I'll be right back.
No problem. I'll keep
Scoot
looking
on
at
over to the cabin, and
I'm like, are you the only human aboard this ship?
I don't think so. They're not very talkative. What do you mean exactly?
Look at their faces. They're not real faces. They're
That
wearing
explains
masks.
so much.
They're mannequins.
Oh, and this whole time I just thought it was really boring. It's just they're actually quite stiff in real life. Oh, this is terrible.
And you've never seen the captain.
I never have. I've never been allowed in this room before. Every time I do, the rest of them just give me this eerie look, and figured it's probably best I just stay to my station, which is not in here.
This is very bizarre, but I would say I feel like it bodes very well for us being able to commandeer this ship from mannequins more so than human beings. It's sort of
Seems
like
Much
the
easier.
universe granted us a boon.
You do notice that it's turned towards you. It's creepy, like expressionless face, but it's not making any moves to stop you. It's not really reacting. It's just kind of curiously like seeing that you have opened the door and waiting to see what you do. The door is swung open. It's dark inside from what you can tell. By the way, it's sort of cloudy and overcast, middle of the day. So it's not dark. It's not particularly bright either.
Are the mannequins inside the cabin, do they look like just unfinished crewmen, kind of? Are they like, because they're obviously not developed, but are we not sure about the other ones on the ship, or?
Oh, so the inside is dark. You haven't seen the inside of the cabin, but on the deck, no, they all appear to be wearing clothing. I mean, normal clothing, mostly, maybe sort of like oiled leather or something to protect against the elements, or hoods and stuff. Yeah. What do you do, Theoden?
Of just realizing that everyone I've been hanging out with for weeks is actually mannequins. I'd be like, well, I am totally on board with your commandeering of the ship. This is terrible, and I have a very bad judge of character.
But hopefully not with us.
Oh no! I see you are twice the man these people are. Twice the woman.
Why,
I should say.
thank you. Human.
Yes, but when there are only 3 of us, we should stick together.
So you all should maybe come into this darkly lit cabin room with me to discover who the captain is.
Do the other
I think
mannequins
Obey
seem to
has
be like
briefly-
noticing us doing this? Is this like a danger zone area, or?
I think they did notice us before I pushed the door open,
Okay.
but they're not doing anything to come over. What were you saying, Aki?
Obeha is still copying glyphs in his book down by the wherever the glyphs were. Maybe
Let's
he's
do
putting things together.
another. Let's do another hunt
roll?
roll for that. Yeah, since you're spending some more time with it, maybe you can find some other clues. So you've kind of got that first idea that this is animated through the new magic school you've named,
Right.
Glyph-Literology.
Yes, indeed.
Very obscure experimental field, but
Indeed, I may have discovered it. Wait till they get a load of me in Old Taldor. And that's a song. So can I use the same skills to add a light
Sure.
die? Or okay, so
yeah, that makes sense. Or, yeah, even
Rolling.
considering that new information would help.
it's 2 6s.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
That's either very good.
It's not in the rules,
very
but
bad.
no, yeah, that's you're always just going for the highest. Let's call that a critical success because we're not.
Woo!
So let's say, yeah, take a token, just keep track of that.
Ooh,
Um,
yes, I will.
And I think, oh, gotcha. Sorry, I didn't see earlier. You said it was pixelated in the chat. Yeah, take a token that can be traded in for a treasure, but I think we're also going to treat it as kind of a major discovery of it. You also notice, so there's ores that are aboard that are like in the water, and you're kind of poking around, realize that they're just there as sort of like sensors almost. They're still made out of wood and stuff, but they're not actually functional ores. You're looking around, and you also notice that there's rolled up sails apparently, but they're not being used to make the ship go. Like maybe we'll say there's 1 or 2 that are down, but it's not like the full unfurled sails that you might need. And you're looking. I'm just gonna say while these other companions are poking around the cabin, you're kind of making your way around the rail, just looking at this, and you see up where normally there's a steering wheel. Again, don't know the term for it. The big old steering wheel on ships.
Oh,
There's nothing there. There's like a little pedestal, and it looks like it's almost like the ball of a mouse. You know what I mean? A computer mouse. So it's like an orb that's sunken into it. That's just kind of there. It looks like a reflective, maybe like quartz kind of surface that looks like there's the ball. And you do see one of the mannequins is occasionally like adjusting that, touching it a little bit, and then going back to going over the various runes. So it's a couple other clues you've uncovered.
Once I had noticed that, I will hasten to Rose and Theoden with my discovery. So I'll walk up to them, and are they still outside of a dark room with the door open?
You're in the threshold, sort of, I'm assuming, or
I like the
Yeah,
idea that
what do you guys-
there's like a bit of like a short montage with backing music, of course, of sort of like us like sizing up the door, and then us like sizing up the mannequins, and then us like also sizing up each other, and then like us sizing up the door, and then sizing up the mannequins and we're sort of like, should we get
Nice.
yeah,
exactly.
I've got to tell the gang about this.
Oh, this turn. Took a turn.
So
You're
yeah,
not a character. You should know.
Go in. But I'll get the door.
All right,
I'll cover you.
I'll
Me?
just to let you know, I've done some further digging on this whole magic thing, and I don't know that the ship. I don't call it that. I don't believe in science. It's poppycock. There are like these long poles that dangle into the water that seem to be. Listen, I don't know what the ship is, the purpose of the ship is, but I think it might be something slightly more nefarious than pleasure sailing. That's all I'm saying before we go into this dark captain's penthouse room.
I want to be away from these wooden men. I'm going to go in the dark room.
I love that song too. Into the dark room.
I want to be away from these wooden men.
Away.
I'm going to say if we all run in, then Theoden's going to take the mop he was using to swab the decking, sort of use it to brace the door spontaneously, because he has spontaneity as a
Sure. Yeah.
skill.
Oh, how spontaneous of you.
Yes. I'm skilled in spontaneity.
You really know how to think on your feet.
I do.
Surprise.
Did I judge a character? Good judgment of mops.
Am I going in?
I figured we were all going in.
Let's. I think we're going in.
Let's have
We're going in,
Tuden
and
do
I'm
the roll.
Racing the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically anyone has to make a hunt roll to kind of
Okay.
look for clues. Unless I tell you it's actually dangerous, then it'll be a risk roll.
Okay. So I don't have to roll to barricade the door. I'm just.
No, you're just actually just tell me a little bit more of what you want to. You're investigating the cabin. Is that what you're looking for?
Well, I was going to sort of brace the door while Rose and Obeha sort of look through the cabin. I'm just sort of like preventing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I don't want them to follow us.
Yeah, let's. I think that's fine for now. If you're just kind of gonna stay in there, so whoever's gonna go in and look around, we'll have them make the hunt roll.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You're unmuted.
Happy to hunt.
All right. So yeah, it's dark inside for the most part. Kind of opens. There's like some dim light, maybe from a window on the other side. You can't really make out from outside kind of what's going on, but you don't hear anyone respond to you. It's quiet on the inside. There's just the occasional creaking of the ship, and all of you have noticed this, by the way, that from time to time the deck kind of shifts almost of its own accord, like it's just following some sort of course. There's no clear reasoning why. But what are you doing to approach this?
I think I'm going to try to be Heidi in the dark, like sort of classic, like hands against the walls and sort of try to slink through the shadows, skulking through the shadows.
All right.
And I have a skill in hiding, so I can roll 2. Here we go.
Yep.
A 5 and a 5.
5 and a 5.
Nice.
A 5 and a 5.
So with the 5, you take a token, but you encounter something terrible. By the way, from 1 through 5, you encounter something terrible. It's the fun thing about it.
Yes.
It always matters. Always moves the story. You're moving along the wall. You feel kind of like wood wall. It's like at one point like maybe a cabinet. You kind of bump and shift around, and then at some point there's like something that feels like glass. You kind of look over, and there's just a big round tank in the darkness. And now with that faint bit of light, you see there's almost like a small little glass round window on the opposite side of the chamber, giving a little bit of light. And you see it's a full glass tank full of water. And there's a figure floating inside of it. And you kind of accidentally bump the edge of it, and there's a figure kind of like shifts and stirs on the inside. It's like a
We're talking
humanoid
giant.
shape.
We're talking giant aquarium tank, but size of human.
Kind of like the not as tall, but like the Bacta tank thing in Star Wars. It's like a normal sized person floating in a tank of liquid.
Kind of like aren't the Avatar creatures floating in like a sensory deprivation kind of tank type
Similar
thing?
to that. Yeah.
Like a Houdini-esque escape box or something, or nah?
Let's just think of how many other examples of things like this it could be, and that can just be the rest of the game.
That's
Is it
it.
like a Tleilaxu exotl tank from Dune?
Is it kind of like Han Solo's like freeze chamber, but on its side, so he's
But
horizontal,
liquid.
not vertical,
And
and
round.
liquid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's instead of Han. Yeah.
I don't know if I have a mental picture yet. Let's think of some more examples.
But what do
Okay.
you do?
So it
You
you said it gestured
you
or like
accidentally bump. You accidentally touch the side of the tank while you're moving around, and like you realize what it is, and like the water, the figure kind of stirs in the water, and it's looks like it's naked, totally pale, kind of human, kind of a little weird. It's dark, hard to tell, but it kind of shifts, and it looks like it was sleeping, and it kind of just like moves a little bit, and then kind of is drifting in the water. One eyes open and kind of see you there.
Oh no.
was Obeha coming in with me?
Yes, I'm right behind you.
You're right behind me, but you haven't seen this yet, probably.
I'm
I mean, now
cowering,
you do.
So
It's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
I'm like,
Okay. I'm just like it's looking at me. Is there any sort of lid to the tank, or is it like sealed glass all the way around? I'm trying to
It looks
figure
like
out whether or not
sealed
it's in
glass.
here.
No, it looks like sealed glass. It's almost like a very large barrel, but it's glass, and there's like a lid to the top.
Okay. Well, I would like to use my ritual of hospitality.
Ooh, okay.
and I'll sing it a friendly sea shanty that I remember from my youth.
Awesome. I want to get to the actual singing if you're inspired to, but let's do the technical dice stuff real quick.
Sure.
So a risk. This is gonna be a risk roll. Also because you're doing a ritual. So, so you're hoping to, become friends. I assume, like.
Yeah,
with hospitality.
I think that's the I don't have it written down what hospitality does, but I remember it being that
we'll make it up.
A creature is friendly to you or regards
Perfect.
you as a friend. Yeah.
So then we get to ask the rest of the table what could go wrong. Any thoughts?
Oh,
Ooh, I mean, this could be a creature that does not respond well to hospitality. You know,
maybe violently
yes,
bursts from the tank.
doesn't like. Oh, or it could cast something back, or becoming friendly with it could lead to it, like, I don't know, doing something weird to your mind, soul.
Yeah, it could be some weird, magic of its own, or
starting a ritual or something. You know,
Right. A ritual accidentally starts another worser kind of ritual.
it's like, oh, you've spoken the words of opening. You know,
Yes.
you're doing magic on a ship made of magic, apparently. So it makes sense.
With a dude in a water tank. So
Yep. So this is out of character again. This is the way that this game builds the fiction. I don't have pretty much any of this planned, but you guys are giving it the texture. So those are things that might go wrong. You get one light dice take one dark dice because it's a ritual. Do you have a skill that you're using?
I don't see any dark dice on here, so I'm just gonna make 2
is that another one?
dice.
I just made the gray ones dark dice. That was my
Yeah, that works.
thinking, but whatever.
I only see green dice on mine,
Yeah.
so I just made
you could-
some purple ones.
Yeah, make some other ones.
The world is a strange
What
and-
are skills that would help you with this? Anything you're using?
Mine, deception.
Deception? Like, are you?
Well, because I want it to regard me as a friend, but the reality is that I still want to take over this ship.
Right.
And so
That
I
makes
want
sense.
it to be able to let me have the power.
That
So
makes sense.
I'm deceiving it that I'm not doing so, and that I'm
Got it.
and I'd say it's a flattery type deception, because I'm gonna probably sing it a song that will be praising it.
All right, cool. So that's a light and a dark dice, and then devil's bargains are a thing that the rest of the table gets to propose. Basically, this is a complication that would happen regardless of if the roll succeeds or fails. So you get to put those forth. Sky gets to ultimately choose to accept them or not. This is sort of another negotiation. So one I have to suggest would be that success or failure, the creature's creature intensifies the magic of the ship somehow, because you're sort of engaging it with magic. If that's too general, someone can propose whatever. You guys have any ideas?
Maybe when Rose casts this ritual, the creature absorbs her power, weakening her and taking the magic for itself to power said ship. It's like a power vampire of some sort.
A power vampire.
Hashtag power vampire.
Yeah, somehow we could be worked into the machinations of this ship by making it aware of the fact that we have arcane power, and maybe
like
it's been
that.
waiting for it's gonna use like batteries or something.
Ooh.
I like that a lot. The ship becomes aware of you or something.
Talk about some glyph motorology.
We're talking about glyph motorology.
Yeah.
That's some glyph fine motorology.
All right.
Which do you want to take any of those?
I like the second one a lot, just because I like the idea of us potentially being, or I mean, does it have to be all of us?
No, you can. You're the one agreeing to the bargain. What's up?
No, I'm saying is the bargain that we're all then going to be used as batteries, or is it just that like I am going to be used as a battery to power the ship?
You can renegotiate that kind of thing. I think it makes sense if you're doing the spell that maybe that's what might happen.
Yeah.
Is that your power is gonna sort of go into it a little bit?
Yeah. I like
Okay.
that.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, yeah, the 2 light dice and 1 dark dice. It's a lot of talking for like a simple roll, but it sets up a lot of the fiction all at once. So for anyone watching, that's why we're talking so much about it.
Since people aren't seeing the rolls, they won't be able to see this happening. But I am hoping for what kind of outcome, Gabriel?
I mean, tell me that.
I mean, just
number wise.
Yeah.
We're basically rolling 6-sided dice and looking for the highest numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. 6 being the only not terrible result.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
4 to
complicated
5
result.
is a mixed result. 1 to 3 is a failure.
All right. So we have a 5 and a 1 with the light dice and a 5 with the dark dice.
Hey, big roller.
So
I don't know what that
Gosh.
means.
Does that lead to ruin?
So
I think the beauty of this
think
game is
in-
that none of us do. We just depend on Gabriel. We just tell him what.
Yeah.
5, 6, and a 4.
no, that's fine. I should know it, but I think in this case your ruin does not go up. I think you're okay because I'll look at that later. We're playing it lighthearted anyway. It's a success at a result. At a cost. So thank you. You're muted, but I can tell what you're saying. So yeah, describe the success. We'll get into the complication. You're singing in a shanty about hospitality, right?
Yeah. Shiver me timbers, my slithery kin. Open your cabin and let me come in. Trust me, companion of salmony skin. Embrace me, my slithery kin.
Wow.
Just a little something.
No big deal. Just a little song.
That's awesome.
I wrote that like while we were still talking over stuff, but yeah, and
slithering kin. That's nice.
I like that too.
Slithery.
Yeah.
So Theo holds the mop against the door and says, "Oh, I love that song." He turns around and is like, "What the hell are you singing to?"
And that's kind of the complication too. In those lyrics, you kind of fleshed out what I was thinking too, is that it is human in shape. But as you're singing and its eyes open up a little bit, they're like glowing emeralds. They're like glowing pearls under the water.
Aki, you're amazing.
Oh man. we need to have this for every game now. It's essentially, it's a merfolk. It's a merman.
It's a merman. Sweet.
Yeah. It's his skin is kind of slick and almost like an eel or a fish like that. Very very frail though. Almost like maybe very old or something. But the complication is as you sing, his eyes open up and meet yours, and you are locked in for a second, and you become very aware again of the vibration of the ship kind of moving under your feet. And you feel it intensify, and you see it almost like in different parts of the woodwork in the cabin, little carvings sort of start to glow and come to light that you didn't notice in the darkness before. Somehow this creature waking up is also waking up the magic in the ship a little bit.
Is it kind of like the Shape of Water monster guy? A little bit?
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think of that reference till now.
Well, that was like what I was thinking when it was like a dude submerged in water. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So
the success part, as far as that goes, you seem to be friendly towards each other. Like,
can I be in love with him? Is that okay?
You tell us, sure.
Yeah.
The you've never seen this, right?
Yeah, and the song, I think that would be part of the the slight failure of it is that like my thought was like, oh, I'll sing this to make friends with it, but then I'm literally singing like embrace me, my slithery kin. So
Well, tell
yeah.
us actually. I think that's even more interesting. Like, what about meeting this creature's gaze or really seeing its features? I will say maybe the light starts to glow a little bit as the glyphs come up. But what
Sure.
about this thing enchants you? And why do you feel that way all of a sudden?
I'm thinking it has like piercing, very, very like Florida blue ocean eyes, and like it's as contrasted with sort of like it's like iridescent deep forest green scales, and like there's something very like sad and also very kind in its eyes. And so something in singing the song, like when its eyes first open, maybe they're just kind of like slits, like, which is kind of scary. But then when I sing the song, the expression of the eyes just kind of softens to where it's that of something very familiar and warm. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not saying it's like a love at first sight thing, but I think like I'm immediately and instantly like, like very
It is
drawn.
captivating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sort of a very magical fey-like type of creature.
Is there like
I'm gonna
any way to open the box?
There sure is, and you will figure that out. We're going to go to that in a second. I just want to mention that it's an hour in. I want to drop the link one more time, just in case people are tuning in.
Drop that
I
link.
love when this all happens. We're doing this for fun and for entertainment, but just as you may be tipping other performers, if you're inspired to, I'd ask you to, check out and make a donation to the ACLU. Covers a lot of really important causes right now. And in our short format, that's just an easy way to mention that without having time to really articulate some of those things. So if you feel moved to do that, check it out. We've got an hour and a half left. I like that idea of taking off the lid.
Well,
while you're
I
thinking
would like
about that,
to,
Rose.
yeah, I would like to default to whatever my fellas want to do. I'm not trying to steal
We're definitely creeped out by the fact that you were.
I'm seeing a lot of things for the first time.
You I've seen you cast the hospitality spell before, but this time it seems like like there's some sort of like feedback or something. So like you, and now if you're gonna like reach to open the box, Obeha's gonna be very concerned. Without you like my Slytherin kin, and then just reaching down, I'll be like, Rose, Rose, perhaps we should see what this creature has to say or what it does before we let it out of its jar.
As Theo comes from the door towards where they are, does he notice anything around the cabin? He's never been in here before, so he's kind of excited to be.
Sure. Do you want to just poke around, see what you can see?
Yeah, just a glance as I start heading hesitantly towards the creature in the tank.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. We have Calvin in our
just saw
YouTube
that.
comments just said donated $50 to ACU. Excellent. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Calvin.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Calvin.
Sweet.
Awesome. I'm not sure. I want to say I saw Calvin comment on Twitter earlier or something. I was trying to pull people and get weird ideas that I could add so I didn't have to actually come up with anything. I'm going to consult that again too. But yeah,
this is so mundane.
It's so scripted.
So
I mean,
far,
yeah, it's another mannequin ship and a mermaid.
Whatever.
Let's do a hunt roll for that because it sounds like you're just trying to investigate.
Okay. I have
so
appraisal as a skill. Would that be something I could add a light die to? All right.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, 2 light dice.
All right. I only got a 3.
3's the highest.
3 is the highest.
So
what terrible thing do I find?
Yeah, I mean, so like you said, you're seeing a lot of these things for the first time. This is quite a day for Theoden, especially after maybe being on a ship for a little while. The revelations just keep hitting you. You notice as you're poking around, nice. It's an oddly bare cabin. I mean, and you kind of starting to put together why, if there's no captain in here, there's this mer being in the tank. So there's not really the normal, accessories of a person living in this cabin. But you start to see the kind of different glyphs that are glowing on the sides of the cabin walls. And it looks like in places some have lit up and some have not. And it starts to give you the impression that it's like, again, in this time period, it's not like what a spaceship would be or anything, but it looks, I'm going to say there's a wall that has some kind of chart that's been drawn onto it. And there's like places where these like carvings are lit up and places where they're not. And it seems like there's a course sort of plotted, which is what this ship is magically following. So that's the kind of disturbing thing that hits you, is like, oh, this thing is just going where it wants to, and we're just passengers. Oh, nice.
There he is. That's the back. The front's on this side.
And if you like dogs, please donate to the ACLU.
Yes.
And make sure that you say you're doing so on behalf of Bowser.
Yes.
Who
Bowser, you
definitely
did it.
wants your encouragement and support of the ACLU.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, I think that's the weird thing that you notice.
Okay.
You can, and again, y'all can keep making hunt rolls. You can keep poking around, finding treasure, and finding clues. Again, your overall out of character goal is take control of the ship.
Okay.
I want to say like Obeha's, with that critical roll, that it's going to have that count as like maybe 2 successes towards it if you want to. So if you kind of figure out one other thing, we can kind of say you figured it out. But it's however you want to approach it.
So, Mr. Obeha, I did find this strange nautical chart with these scientifically glowing glyphs, and I don't know.
Please,
I can't make heads or tails of it.
Let's see here.
I'm just saying. Also, while you guys are talking, I'm still just sort of frozen.
Yes, I would love to explore this map in detail. Perhaps I could figure out where we are, where we've gone, where we're going, but I think first we should deal with the fact that Rose seems to have become somewhat enchanted with our floating tank being over there. I don't know if we can pull her out of it.
Of mermaids and sirens being able to charm people and sailors to their watery graves.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
just
I should
the kind
keep
of
an eye.
science-y poppycock that I hate to hear. Let's see what magic can do. I think Obeha will go over and see if he can like put a hand in between Rose and the mer being, and if they break eye contact,
yeah. I think this is gonna be a risk roll because the risk here is that this is a magical, maybe powerfully psychic being that seems to have transferred and might also have an effect on you. That's kind of what's at stake.
All right,
I'm gonna say.
A risk
how do you
roll.
approach it? Yeah.
Well, I will go over and oh my. Well,
I want to interject one thing because I forget it with gold sometimes. You can, in addition to your skills, you can describe how you're using the environment or a piece of equipment. Also, you can also say that you pull something out of your pack at any point in time as far as basic equipment stuff. So basically, any creative solution gives you dice.
Yes. Well, I am going to. Well, I don't think Obeha had a creative solution for this first thing. I think he merely was going to try to break the connection completely haphazardly. So,
I like it.
Yeah, I don't think I don't want to retcon that he was like, and then I do. I think he is willing to take a risk. And just for the audience, what do you do for a risk roll?
So you start with no dice because it's. Yep, you get to add one light colored dice if you have a skill or using equipment related to it.
Right.
And again, there's nothing wrong with that out of character sort of. It's not really metagaming, but being strategic because chances are things are going to go badly no matter what because of the dice. So use whatever you can think of. It doesn't have to be that your character's scheming necessarily. You're just thinking of how it might go.
No, I think he's just truly concerned that he's just going to try to. I think he might know that this is a powerful magical connection, and nonetheless, he's going to try and just divert it and it may cause some physical or mental harm for him to try and break the connection briefly.
So that sounds like if you wanted to, you could be risking your body and mind and add a dark dice just because.
Oh, definitely.
Nice.
Obeha's
And then you
risky body
can-
and mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've kind of mentioned things that could go wrong, I think, and unless there's anything else anyone wants to chime in on.
Yep.
Any devil's bargains that folks want to make? These are things that success or failure will happen regardless of the roll.
Was the devil's bargain not that his mind and body might be injured by this, or is it just more bad things that might happen?
It could be basically like sort of a side effect, regardless of how well the roll goes, that it happens either way.
And devil's bargains don't have to be like absolute, like
Mhm.
terrible, awful things. They can
Okay.
just be like things that absolutely influence the fiction moving forward in some sort of a, at least temporarily negative way.
Yeah, some sort of cost to it, and then we can propose them. They can be negotiated. Ultimately, Aki decides whether or not he wants it.
I think it should definitely one devil's bargain should definitely be that Obeha also gets drawn into the
Oh yeah,
lore of the mer person.
Mercap.
well, the only thing there is that we could say that there's a connection that happens there, but if he were to succeed, that so if he rolls a success, that wouldn't quite work because we don't want him to be permanently stuck. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But it could be that they're in the same way that maybe the ship and the other magic responded to you. It could be that a psychic connection is made of some kind.
Yeah.
Right. It could be a sort of I could become not enthralled as Rose has become, but a thrall of the not necessarily like mindless zombie, but maybe I am now
Influenced.
influenced
Kinda.
by it. Yeah. Taking orders or very strong suggestions, you know.
That's cool.
But I feel like more likely there will be some sort of harmful side effect to stepping in between the strong psychic connection that, like, maybe I go temporarily blind or something like that. Something to that effect.
Yeah, that could. Yeah, I like that there being like a magical side effect if
Yeah.
you break that. Yeah,
I will
All
take.
right.
I'll take a magical side effect, and I'll leave it up to you, Gabriel.
sounds good. I'm trying to make you guys do the creative work. All right.
No, I know.
No, it's all good. The cool thing about this game, though, again, why I'm so kind of obsessed, like I write stuff in Pretty Trophy and like talk about it a lot, but it has you all build the fiction throughout, and it's so cool how it happens. Like there's cooler ideas than I would have thought of all the time, and like people jump off each other's ideas. So
Right.
that's kind of the reason behind all the negotiating a simple dice roll is like by the time you actually roll, the story's there. So
Yeah.
yeah. So 2 light and 1 dark dice.
2 light, 1 dark. Here we go. Putting them in the middle. And clicking them. And rolling them. That is a 4 and a 3 on the light dice. And a 2 on the dark die.
All right. So the highest is a 3 on the light dice. So that's
The highest is a 4
failure.
on the light dice.
A 4. Oh, sorry. So that is
And that's
success.
higher than his dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're good. Yep. The dark dice, if it was the highest, would have a risk of worse things. Because
Yes.
why not?
Yeah.
What is the success? Yeah, describe the success, and then we'll get to the rest.
My only goal for success is to snap Rose out of it for a moment. Maybe so she can tell us what's happening. That's all I really intended to do, and I'm doing it knowing that it might be dangerous, but this is like, hard reboot.
Mhm.
So I'm going in between Rose and I'll do the hand thing, and then I'll literally like step between them and put like a hand on the tank and like break their eye contact with my head.
Nice. Your head blocks her
With
gaze,
my
and then
face.
Rose
Yeah.
with your face. And for the time being, Rose, that snaps you out of whatever kind of reverie we're getting sucked into there. I think the complication comes as you you put your hand on the tank as you're paying attention to your friend and making sure she kind of snaps out of it.
Yeah.
And you feel like the glass or crystal, whatever it is of the tank, just vibrating, like it's humming. And you kind of look over and see that the water is like rippling on the surface, just from this power emanating from this creature. And you see that it is now fully awakened. Its eyes are open. It's kind of unfurled. It's kind of floating there, almost like in a meditation posture. And its hand touches the glass next to yours, and it kind of looks at you as well.
Ooh.
And for a second, we're going to take a break in a moment, but your vision just kind of becomes awash in light, and you have this almost rapid series of images of the route planned. You sort of see almost like you go on a weird magical trip for a second. It might be a little loud for me to talk over. Sorry. It's in my headphones. Sorry. That's awesome. It zooms out. You see the ship from above all of a sudden. You see the kind of course it's going on, and you see like far off, like islands in the mist, kind of coming out of the mist. You see almost like a map from above, and far off, like the shape of maybe some big whale in the water. You see other ships. This kind of zoomed out vision of the chart plotted. And then almost the last thing is almost the awareness of you being the ship itself and your own mind steering and piloting this thing and moving it through your own will and being bound and a part of it against your will. And that's, you kind of empathize with the creature and realize kind of what's going on in that moment. And do you snap back out of it?
And
we'll take a break.
Vomit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless there's anything you want to do immediately after that, I don't want to cut you off.
That was cool, and I think I just puke and then.
I think the vomit's a good sign for a quick break.
It's a good break.
Yeah.
Breaking point.
Yeah. Get some fresh air. Shall we do a 5-minute break, 10-minute break? What do you guys need?
Fantastic.
5 minutes
I'm
works for me.
good with 5. Yeah.
5, yeah.
That was great.
Thank you,
All right,
5.
Thank you,
Yeah,
5.
All right.
We'll leave it rolling. We'll be right back.
Alrighty.
All right. Wow, live music. This is amazing.
Figured it'd be nice to have some hold music.
Nice.
Ta-da!
And we're back.
And we're back.
Oh man, that was so good. I'm just pretending this is a role-playing game, and I'm just sneaking in these guys, and they all you
So, role playing
happen to have all
variety.
musicians.
That's right.
Yeah. Guy missed the live break music.
Oh
Interlude.
man,
So good.
Yeah.
was it a new theme?
Oh, it was based on the Slithery Friends theme.
Slithery
Shiver-
kin.
Shiver
That's
me
it.
Slithery
timbers. Shiver me
Slithery
timbers,
kin.
my slithery kin.
Yep.
Shiver me timbers,
It's a banger.
I realized when you were playing it back, Aki, that it's almost "Come, little children, I'll take you away," but it's da 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 da.
Yeah, exactly.
We really
Yeah,
have to. We're working on it slowly. We're all doing so many different creative projects right now during this ongoing quarantine creative whatever it is that we're in.
The
And I know-
whatever.
Aki's working on his own very long-term project right now. But eventually, I think there's going to be some sort of songs inspired by role-playing games EP that's going to have to be amassed. We already have some other ones from games we've played before, including Follow the Reaper Man.
Yeah.
Sounds so metal, but it was sung by these children
Yeah.
in a harvest festival.
That's right.
It's great.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. When we do put this up, I'll try to put links to y'all can message me if you have like projects or things you want me to link.
I'll
for
BRB.
the public
I have to
video.
get my phone.
Cool. All right. Everyone doing all right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Excellent. We still have people still watching this. Thanks for folks
Good.
watching it
Awesome.
and anyone
Thank you,
watching
thank
it
you.
later.
I did catch up on the shuttle launch. It did launch. It's in the space.
Oh, Space Force.
Wow.
Space Force.
Yeah. Let's pick up with Oveja. Like, yeah, this just happened,
Yeah, he's
and then you vomit.
Okay. Well, I think I had a connection with the being. Well, it's hard to put all the images together. It was mostly like a collage, but it appears that the ship has been sailing for maybe generations. Rose, I don't know how it came into the possession of your family, but this denizen here of the jar is somehow connected to the ship. It is the ship. The ship is its body or part of the organism, and it sails the ship, and the ship sails in it. It's hard to describe. And in fact, just talking about it is making me a bit nauseous again. But we're on our way to somewhere. I don't know what the cause is.
Perhaps that's enough science for today. I think maybe we should just cover this bad boy up, and maybe you should look at this chart. Did you see the chart in your vision? That this
now
being...
that I'm looking at this chart, I saw some of these islands. They came out of mist, and the ship has sailed past and through and to the islands, but I don't know what it seeks.
I have a silver woven net apparently in my pack. Can I use that to put it over the creature's sort of tank, and hoping
Sure.
scientifically the metal maybe subdues his psychic field in some way?
Yeah, I think that's also going to be a risk roll, which we can get to. I just want to mention that sort of out of character thing. I'm going to consider that solving the greater goal for how to control the ship, because you sort of got that psychic connection, and then you can do whatever you want with that. But basically, Obe has realized that creature is, by being magical and sort of connected to the magic of the whole vessel, is piloting it. So anyone who sort of attunes to the ship, and you can approach it however you want,
Yes, I quite
whether it's through that
accidentally,
glass
yes.
thing on top. Yeah, you
I think,
could do the same thing.
Right. Rose, or whatever you cast when you came in, I think, aroused this creature from its, I think, slumber of some sort. I don't know how we could communicate with it, though.
I also want to backtrack on one thing too, and just add for Rose, that you have the condition. Oh, you're fine. You have the condition. I want to say like entranced, or if you have a better word. I just think that was a significant enough. Like you were, even though you were disconnected and you have your own free will, there's still something magical and alluring about that creature that stays on your mind.
I like enthralled.
Cool. And conditions in this game are basically fictional tags. There's no rule book I'm looking up that says that does. It's just adding stuff. Yeah, enthralled. That's cool. So Theo, you want to put the net over there to maybe like
right. I'm kind of
avoid
seeing
that
this
happening.
creature have an effect physically and mentally on my new compatriots, and I just saw a bunch of wooden guys outside. So things are quite strange for Theon. So Theo wants to sort of see if he can subdue this in some way, sort of not knowing how this might affect it, but at least some semblance of control. He's going to take his net and just sort of drape it over it.
Okay.
Over the tank,
Yeah,
knowing that maybe the metal might disrupt some of the waves that are coming, like mental waves. I don't know how this creature works.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say not Theon. Thanks for reminding me. Theon is also a character, right?
Oh, not that. No, it's Theo.
Yeah, no, I did not make the connection. Oh, Blaine is watching too. Awesome.
Hi,
I'm seeing
Blaine.
the Facebook comments.
Blaine's doing a poetry reading today at
Ooh.
5:15 on Instagram. So it's just a little bit after we end. And
Cool.
Blaine also runs role-playing games. So definitely check
And,
that out.
And has a really cool podcast called You Are Not Alone. So getting into a lot of like horror games. Yeah, really cool stuff. You should check out. I'll try to link that later. But yeah, so I think this is a risk roll just because, as you've seen, it has an effect on them. Unless there's a way fictionally you want to describe, like you could throw it from a distance and maybe that'll kind of help you.
I don't think I would throw it, but I would say that Theo's stubbornness of not believing in magic may shield him in some way, or he's not open to this at all. He wants this to stop. So
Sure.
I think just from a stubborn standpoint, perhaps, but if that's not enough to give me a light die, I don't really see anything else. He's spontaneously doing this. He kind of does actions before thinking them completely through.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, risk roll, that would give you, a skill. Yeah, that makes sense. Unless you specifically want to risk your body or mind or use a ritual to add dark dice.
The ritual I have doesn't seem like it would affect in this one.
Okay.
I'm down just to roll the one and hope for the best. Is that how that works?
You can technically. Chances aren't very good with one. You can always try to take a devil's bargain. You can also roll and add dark dice after the fact to try to get a better result.
Is there a
It's just
devil's
up to you.
bargain that anyone wants to hop in onto this?
So things that could go wrong, I think we kind of have seen some examples of, right? It could have a psychic connection to you or some negative effect. Unless
Maybe one of my compatriots doesn't like what I'm doing and wants to stop me. I don't know if that's...
I would love to offer the devil's bargain that it starts speaking through you.
Oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I love it. That
love
is
that.
good.
Well,
All
I
right,
mean, like,
yeah.
I want to talk to my boo.
I will take that devil's bargain.
So it's like a devil's
Talk
bargain, but
that.
it's also like
That's pretty
exactly
cool.
what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
congratulations, you covered
All
the
right.
tank. Now you are my voice.
So I have 2 dice. Is that how I'm doing it? A white and a dark?
They're both light. It's a
Both
risk
light.
roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
there's
see.
an example of the tank. Nice.
There.
Mhm.
Oh no, I rolled snake eyes. That is bad.
Wow.
Wow.
So Thea, why does this go so badly? Is there anything?
I'll say as I move towards the tank with the net outstretched, probably the merc creature has had bad experiences with nets, and seeing this action as sort of an offensive move towards it, it shoots its psychic power towards me and completely overtakes my body, and I have to be its voice. Basically.
Spraying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. I think even I'm not sure the name of it yet. I want to think about a condition for that for a second. Might come back to that, but yeah, I think with that,
Screwed.
the condition, you're screwed. No, but the holding up a net to a creature that is already captive, definitely, yeah, it has an effect. Sparks that anger. You all kind of feel again, almost like a surge as the boat just like moves a little more powerfully. As that energy flares up, and it takes a hold of you, kind of almost in self-defense. I'm going to say you kind of seize up for a second. It's channeling you and it's speaking through you for a second. And effectively, it says to the rest of your companions, it just says, I am but a captive here, and take this vessel if you will, but free me from this prison, and this cursed ship is yours if that's what you wish. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Echoey, bubbly sounds.
Of course.
How may we free you?
One hand is still on the glass and looking to you, the other one is like feebly pushing at the lid, but it's trapped inside. It's clearly not
Also,
strong enough.
Is this coming? This is coming from Theo, but is Theo physically acting as the creature too, or it's just like the words come out of his mouth?
Yeah,
like,
I think
like
he's like
burping
frozen in
unknowingly.
place for a second.
I was picturing myself sort of like Rigor, kind of just frozen with my
Mm-hmm.
mouth being forced to make these sounds.
Yeah, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is interesting. So you want us to pop the lid on
Pop
the
it in the
tank,
private chat.
pop it in the private chat, and then should we listen? I don't mean to be crude, but you have no legs, so
I don't mean to
carry-
interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to say that your voice, it just continues to echo the feelings that I had when locking eyes with you after singing that song. And I must know, what is your name?
What is its name?
I don't know. I asked it in the chat, and I don't think anybody's chimed in.
Sure.
So it could be an
It says
ongoing
it's-
question, but
It says its name, and the shape of like the sounds are not in the language you know. It's almost like its name. It's like you get these images in your mind, and it's like the rush of a school of fish past coral, and like the pattern of light coming onto the ocean floor, and like the storms above, and it's like these emotional currents of the ocean, the essences. It's like a haiku or something. So it's not a single word or name you could say.
Okay.
But yeah.
Asked and answered.
very beautiful.
Also, I can't think of a cool enough name, so yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. Rose.
Yes.
Rose, if it didn't make me vomit last time, I would try to break this connection one more time. I think this creature, he or she, it, they wants to be released from this this tube. Maybe we should do so. Creature, I'm talking. I'll
Blow, 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 blow.
Yeah,
Whoosh,
yes.
whoosh, rush, rush.
Would you mind releasing our companion here from your thrall? He might be helpful in getting this lid off of your Containment.
Oh yeah, and the effect definitely like calms down. The vibration of the ship calms down, and you see it's just now kind of floating more relaxed and tranquil. It was a reaction to the net probably. And you all at this point have definitely got the impression that whether it can just hear you through the glass or psychically is just picking up your intentions, it's very attuned and sensitive and can understand you very well.
So has Theo been released from this?
Mhm.
Okay, so he just
Yeah,
slumps down, looks around, doesn't really know what just happened. He's like, maybe the net was a bad idea.
It was a bad idea, Theo. And also, you just experienced magic.
I don't remember a single thing happening for the last 10 seconds or so.
Well,
Well, I would just like to say that your voice got a whole lot sexier.
Rose,
Hey,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Rose here is. I'm not quite sure what's going on with Rose. And our friend, the sound of fish past coral and light penetrating through water and storms above
Swish,
the sea,
swish.
would like
That's
a
a
swish
long
swish.
name.
Yes,
Swish, swish.
swish swish. That's what I think we should call him.
GMing everyone,
Mr.
that's what
Swish.
Swish. I like Mr. Swish.
Mr. Swish. Mr. Swish. We will try to release you presently. But first we should know, I mean, the automatons upon the ship, are they connected to you somehow?
They communicate back to, and basically the impression you get is that they are part of the ship. They're maintaining the ship. The whole thing is this sort of one big magic object, effectively, and the crew is connected to the ship and keeps it in order. But it requires some sort of magical force or life force to power it, and that had been coming from this creature trapped inside of it. So it with the right intention and magical juices, it were, that would make it keep going. And you don't have to roll if you guys want to, basically, because of our time. If you want to free it, you can do so. If you want to do something else, but you can, if one way or another, control the ship if you want to.
It's no skin off my back. I think we should free Mr. or Mistress Swish. Swish.
There's
So we have to
there's so
attune with
much good
Swish,
pun
or
in
So
that
much.
name.
So much good pun.
Mr. Swish, Mr.
Mr.
Swish.
Mistress.
I feel like we
Swish.
need to rename the ship
That's a
the Mister's Wish.
yes,
The
No, I like
that.
Mistress's wish.
Mistress is.
there's a
that's
tongue
lot of
twister
swishes.
in there.
Yes.
Yeah, the swishing
So-
mistress's wish. Yeah.
Which
Do one of?
wish
I was a
the
little confused about how
mistress?
we control the ship. We have to attune with this creature, or we just have to get on this creature's side, or
So you can basically, so with the clues that Obey has discovered, and I kind of mentioned in passing earlier, there was sort of like a glass orb thing that could like swivel,
Right.
or a crystal thing. Like you could probably use that. You could use magic. You could, whatever creative way you want to attune to the ship, you could steer it. You just realize it's a magical thing, and this being psychic power was propelling it. So you could set it free and then kind of give it your own directions to steer it if you wanted to.
Yes. I think it requires a life force to move the boat. Someone of great will and intent.
Is
would have
it
to.
is it
That's a guess.
necessary for the one who guides the ship to be submerged in the water, or is that just for fish people?
You see it kind of turn its head and just point to the gills on its neck and just shows like, this is what I need to survive.
I think.
So if
so
we
we need
said
to get him in the ocean.
if we drop you in the ocean and then we power the ship, do we need gills?
No,
Does one of us need gills? No.
no.
I say we get this fish to water.
You know what they say, you can lead a fish to water, but you can't make it hoarse. So
It's going to be
That's
very hard to
very
say
No,
goodbye
magical fading.
it's so hard to say goodbye.
to Mr.
Okay.
Swish.
To Mistress Swish. So I Obeha will hand here. We'll try
Yes,
to.
Theo helps him lift the
Yes.
tank. If that's, or are we taking the whole tank? And then
I think. If it, oh, can
You
we
could
move the
just take the
tank?
top off.
Oh, I
You
think we
could,
just
if
take the
you,
top off.
yeah, it was just attached. So if you were to
okay.
loosen that,
I just didn't know if
yeah,
it would like instantly suffocate if it was removed from the water and then dragged across the ship.
It might.
Slam dunk
I
in the
don't
ocean.
know. I'm just following what it told us to do here. I mean,
No, that's fine. If your intention is just to let it free, we will we're gonna frame
Fast
that and
forward that.
just
Okay.
yeah, just because of our short time. Yeah, you open it and it climbs out of the water, and you can tell it's a little bit labored out of the water for a second, but it is able to, to with its arms. And I guess I never said if it had a fish tail or limbs or what. Yes.
Could I
Thoughts?
could I have a moment with
Yes.
it before we let it go? It just feels
Theo, I think we
Sure.
should give them a moment.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
No, it seems a bit personal. We'll wait
It
outside.
is sitting on the
Go back to
again,
swabbing.
Yeah, on the rail, the edge of the ship, and the sky is it's overcast, but there's a big band of light still on the edge of the horizon. This very scenic thing, and like it's glistening. Though the spray is coming up, and it's like looking to the ocean, and then it kind of looks back at you with those like emerald eyes. It's giving you a moment.
I don't really know what you did when I touched the tank and I disturbed you. And I'm not sure if that was just in reaction to me or what. But I would like to know, how long was this ship in your command? And did you know my father, so-and-so, Mr. Rose's dad?
So good.
It kind of regards you, and it blinks, but it's like the way fish or sharks have that like extra lens or whatever. Like it doesn't have an eyelid; it just has like a lens that kind of blinks and clears it, and it just basically says like I've been a captive in this vessel for a very long time, and I don't know the names of the ones who owned the ship, but it could have been your father. They've used. Whoever built this thing has used my natural sort of magic and life force to power it where they wanted to. But I'm just so thankful to be free, and basically tells you that this is like all magic. This artifact can be used for different ends, for good or evil. But the course that it was on was supposed to be its final course.
Well, I hold its hand and I say, thank you. If you ever need our assistance again, you know what sails to look for. And I let it go.
Nice.
It would be our most ardent swish.
Yeah, it does hold your hand for a second, then it kind of lets go, and then it just turns and just almost silently, gracefully, just like dives and plunges into the water with barely a splash and is gone. And you later may notice there's a bit of almost like a glitter is left on your hand where you touched it for a second, like it stayed there longer.
Shiver me timbers, slippery kiss.
Nice. So we've got, just out of character a second, we got just under 45 minutes. I think we have time to do one more set here.
Okay.
Of my
Cool.
barely sketched out things. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So Rose, it's gone. You have that moment. You probably are like singing that song to yourself again, and it starts to rain a little bit softly. It's not like a full-on storm or any sort of danger to you all. Washing away, making your job easier. You don't have to swab as much as the water's just starting to gently cleanse the timbers of the deck. You notice the mannequin crew. Some of them just, when it starts to rain, they just kind of stand still so that their hoods will keep the water from getting into their wood any further. And other ones, are protecting certain parts of the ship or continuing to just clean them, just go about their business. But with that information that this ship is on its last voyage, is there anything you want to do? Or alter its course, or
So we have not deciphered its final destination from the charts. We just know it's
No.
heading in a sort of the direction your vision described.
Well, I knew that it was going to islands, but I didn't look closely at the map on the wall. We could all go back, take a look at that map, see if we can figure out where we're headed.
We shall look at that giant. Maybe I'll investigate that giant orb up top.
Yeah, the giant orb. That's probably a good idea.
Don't we need a new captain, as it were?
I don't think we need one. I think we have one. Rose. You. I'm talking about you. You're the captain.
Yeah, we're totally
Rose.
looking at you to do it.
Nice.
Right? Isn't that why we came here?
Sure. I'm just realizing in this moment that while I may have been, hoping for this moment, I wasn't quite ready for it when it came to me, but I suppose that's life. And that's friendship, is your friends making you feel confident in a moment where you might not feel confident. So thank you for being my friends.
Yes.
Does anyone have any rum?
Oh, there must be rum somewhere.
There's
Should
actually quite a lot,
be-
and I have a lot of leftover food that I cooked for the whole crew, but none of them seem to eat. I didn't think that was weird at all, but I can just heat it up now.
I think maybe
That's
we forget about the map and the orb, and we just get drunk.
Let's
Let's
do
get
that.
drunk and eat food.
Yes. And then we can run on that giant orb. And
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do orb shots.
Orb shots.
hashtag orb shots.
Sounds wonderful.
It's the magic visions. Yeah, just put your hand on the orb and
And we're like, oh, yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the next set you had planned, correct, Robinson?
Yep. Go on a crazy cool trip. See the
Go to
So-
Bender. We have no idea where the ship is going. Who
Right.
cares?
Quick question: when the mannequin sort of drooped and didn't do much
Mhm.
else, is that? Well, I guess we don't know for sure, but is that because it started to rain, or is that because the power source of the ship is now in the water and has left? Are they kind of
oh,
were they
interesting.
connected to it in some way, or?
Yeah, will they reattune to a new captain just by name? That's what I was pointing at with the do I have to get into the tank and get gills in order to
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say to Chris's idea, yes. I think because again we don't have time to do a whole lot of rolls. I think that's the impression you get, that they have
Okay.
sort of powered down. But yeah, you don't specifically need to be a merfolk to power it. That was just how its sort of psychic abilities were being harnessed to power it. But through Obeha's sort of investigation and seeing the different parts of it, which I described too hastily maybe, what I was getting at is that the orb was the steering wheel. So you
Kind
could
of
put your
okay.
hands on that and actually use it to operate it.
Oh, so I'm
You
not
see,
gonna
what
touch
I was
that.
thinking was that the orb
Thank you.
has taken the place of the steering wheel. But maybe now it's you could take over it by, attuning with it. We have two options, basically. You go attune to the orb, whatever that entails, first, and then we look at the map, or we could look at the map and then attune to the orb.
I am happy to attune to whatever. I think I should attune to the map.
Oh.
I would like to
Interesting.
actually, for fun, if you're into it,
For fun.
is any sort of flashback scene. I want to know more about Rose's, like what connection you had to your father, if you knew anything, because this is his ship, I think we've established. But maybe that it's much older than that. It's this magical thing. Is there any way, or you can just tell us either way, things you knew about what he did or what the connection is there?
I would like to say that part of Rose's quest for adventure started when she was a young tot, literally crawling under her father's desk while he was working and uncrumpling old discarded maps of and charts of the seas and probably not knowing anything about what they meant or whatever, but studying them quite intently. But maybe she hasn't looked at any maps really since then. So she has this sort of old childhood knowledge of maps and charts and seeing her father's old routes for this ship.
That's cool. Let's use that. I think that's interesting because if you were to go and look at what was on the wall, I kind of vaguely described that it was like a permanent carving in the wood of the wall, and then parts of it, like little, maybe the icons that would be on a map, had been also carved into the wood, and those had been activated. So in the same way that the runes on the ship were glowing, parts that were already like written on there had been lit up as if it was a course that was plotted. So if you were to go look at that, maybe you could pick up a thing or two that way. You don't have to do a whole lot of rolls for it.
Yeah, I'm thinking I hadn't even taken a gander at the map yet because I had been so distracted in Fish World.
Yeah, for time and story reasons, let's say if you go to look at it, you recognize that it's headed for an obscure cluster of islands that meant something. Maybe it was a place your dad talked about going to eventually or something. But what bit of a story did you have there that you know about?
It's headed for a small cluster of islands called the Pokrakoks. And my father told me many things about the Pokrakok Islands. And they have much lore of pirates and Outer Banks in the Pokrakok Islands.
Utterly unlike our own, to say. Nice.
The Outer Banks of the Pokrakok Islands. Yes.
Yes.
I heard that was just a myth. They can't have banks outside.
You and your
y'all are looking at this. Nice. I love the science versus magic.
Yeah, it's so good.
So for cinematic effect and drama, you're looking at the map and you're like tracing it and you're like, this is where it's going, to the outer Pokrakoks. And there's like a little drawing of like skull and crossbones, like as if pirates are in these waters. And as you say that, there's a crash on the side of the ship and you hear this scrabbling sound and like crunching as like almost like strips of the outer planks are being torn away. And you hear like
outer
a rattling.
Planks on the way to the Outer
Nice.
Banks.
How could it be? And
No,
we're gonna
not the
squeeze
Outer
this in
Planks.
because we still have time to do it. You rush outside and it's gotten darker and the rain's intensified. There are dark clouds above, and there are strange shapes clawing, quite literally, at the side of the ship. And there's a massive floating driftwood tree that has somehow drifted up alongside of your boat, covered in barnacles and shells and old seaweed and almost like scraps of other shipwrecks. And there are strange shapes clambering on top of it, and they look like they're maybe part human, but mostly crab or lobster. They've got claws, they've got weird legs. They're kind of some of their arms are fused onto like an old scimitar. Others are just like fiddler crabs holding a massive claw on one side, and they're all looking up at you with their weird beady crustacean eye stalks and starting to latch on and climb aboard the ship.
I imagine they just want to talk.
One of them grabs a mannequin and just like cuts it with its claw and like tosses its pieces to its friends.
I like the idea that all three of us kind of run up like 1, 2, 3, like we're like it's the three of us, and I'm at the front, like sort of captainly, and I'm like like holding my arms out to you all, like don't do anything, and then and I'm like thinking I'm gonna take charge, and then I'm like, Obeha, do you know any magic for this?
Let me consult my books.
All right. Theo takes his mop, dips it into the bucket, flings it up in the air, catches it on his head as a helmet, and then yells at the crew saying, "Come on, wooden men, it's time to be a real boy and charge the creatures."
Nice. Amazing.
Theo has
so it sounds like going right into... Yeah, indeed. Hidden depths. There's so many quotes here. Time to be a real boy. So that sounds like going right into combat, which is fine. It's kind of going there, but if you want to do any sort of thing to, again, this is super loose fictional positioning. There's no initiative or any of that stuff. if there's anything you want to do to kind of improve your position or put them at a disadvantage before you're immediately fighting them hand to hand, you still have a chance to do whatever you want to do. Yes.
I would like to, as the thing is happening with Theo, and I had turned around to ask Obeah if he knows any magic, I would like to have it jog my memory that I have magic and that I can use my messenger ritual to tell some passing seabird, a seagull, I'm going to send a message to him to tell all of his friends to come and help attack these creatures by poking their eyes out.
Awesome.
So I don't know if it will happen, and if you want me to roll for that, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
not,
let's
don't have
Gulls and
to.
crabs, that ancient
let's
enmity.
say let's incorporate that into the combat. I think that's super cool. We'll just say that's the way you're engaging with it. So unless there's anything else anyone wants to add before immediately fighting, they're actively boarding your ship and starting to tear it apart.
Yes,
so you
I
have to
think
do
the
something,
time for words is over.
Also, they're not saying any words either. They're just kind of making creepy clacking, cicada-like sounds, insect crunching, crustacean.
Theo has already run off and engaged, so
Bucket on head,
Obeah
ready
is
to
going
rock.
is going
Awesome.
to try to do something similar.
All right, so great thing about combat in Trophy Gold is it's super fast, it's kind of dangerous, and we still have half an hour, so we actually have plenty of time to do a fight. So the first thing we do is describe, and sorry, Chris, I didn't check early on. Do you have a weapon or
I have a mop.
and or armor?
I have
That'll
a
work as a
bucket.
weapon. Cool.
Bucket is my
That'll-
helmet.
Cool. We'll count that as a weapon and armor. That works.
Yep.
It's also improvised, which is very fitting. At the start of combat, what each person does is describe your weak point. So this is just fictional positioning to describe, if you take a hit later, kind of why it happened. So it could be something like, literally, there's a weak point in your armor, or you.
I think my weak
falter
point is
'cause you're
anything
uncomfortable.
below the bucket. So me.
Okay, got it. Nice. And after you do that, each person just roll 1d6 and keep track of the number, because that's going to
Okay.
represent your weak point.
I remember this now.
Roll it now,
Yeah,
or
roll it. Yeah, just roll it and tell me and keep track of it.
okay. It's a 4.
Okay, so just remember 4. If a 4 comes up, that is you.
That hits
you
me.
taking a hit. Effectively.
Got it.
It's a
Guys,
6,
is a 6. All right.
which is ironically the last weak point I had written down for the last game we played. So, hey,
Mine is a 4, and I think Obeah's weak point is that he is nauseous. He threw up, and he's not used to being on a boat, and he is not a pugilist, so he's looking for some arcane. He can't take a hit, is what I'm saying. Even in the best
Got
of
it.
times. Now he's got no balance. He's not going to go well if he gets struck.
Makes sense. And then what's Rose's weak point?
you
Now
know,
that you have your mouth full. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Thematically, I'm going to say that my weak point is going to be searching the waters for Mr. Swish. Because ultimately, probably just after I give the command to the seabirds, I'm like, I should have given the command to a fish to go find Mr. Swish to have him come back and help us. So my weak point is just going to be being absolutely distracted, wondering if I can find him to get him to help us out. But ultimately, that would waste time in this. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. I'd like to just say that I think my weak point is that I don't really have any weak points. And,
It's like the job interview.
I'm
Yeah.
working
Yeah,
on
where do you
that,
see
yeah.
yourself in 5 years? And where's your weak point?
Well, my flaws
My
are
weak
that I'm
point
just like
is that I'm
too good at
Yeah.
everything.
I've really worked on being impervious.
we were watching Schitt's Creek last night, and there was a conversation kind of about like between Moira and John saying like, "Oh, like what are your like pet peeves or whatever?" And Moira's like, "I mean, I know. Sometimes I get stressed and I drink too much tea." And he's like, "Wait, so you're saying that Your worst quality is that you drink tea. So sounds
That is
about
essentially
Obeha.
what Obeha said.
Nice.
Also, don't hit me.
Awesome. I will mention really quick that I did do a sort of quick Twitter poll earlier to, again, get ideas so I didn't have to come up with anything, but also
Sure.
get cool ideas from other people. And Calvin, who was may still be watching, but who also made an awesome donation to ACLU, much appreciated. He suggested a monster, which I'm kind of adapting here. So hence the crab people.
Ooh.
Well, so anyway, you don't need to
Thank
know
you,
that
Calvin.
off screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
and thanks for the
Calvin.
suggestion.
Yeah.
I have a slight fear of crustaceans, so thank you.
Oh, well, and again, remember, you can feel free to chime in if it's getting too much
No,
in that territory.
I can face that fear with my
veil it a little bit.
imagination. If these were actually in front of me, I would not be happy. But no, I'm
Got it. Just checking. Yeah.
lobstrosities.
Lobstros?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will
Lobsters.
not be bringing live crabs into Friend Jam 4.0.
That's right.
Aw,
Good to know.
Calvin wrote
thanks,
in.
Calvin. No, I'll be all right. I'll be
Crabby
all right.
earnings.
Appreciate it though.
No, I always want to make sure that's a thing because you never know. I'm bad with spider. Like I like spiders. I have pet spiders, and I forget sometimes how much that can not be cool with some people. And I got to do better with that. So for combat, you each have a weak point, and you have a weapon. So each of you is going to. Let me pull up the dice here really quick. You just each want to roll a d6 and tell me the number.
Wait,
I got the
again?
one. Is it separate?
Yeah, for the combat roll.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
I got a 1, so it's not good.
Okay.
I got a 2.
Oh,
I
you
got a
needed
5. 5.
All right. So we take the two highest, so that's 7 total. So basically, in this game, monsters have their only stat is endurance. You have to meet or exceed that to kill them, and you did not quite manage to kill them this round. But none of those numbers was anyone's weak point, right?
Not mine. No.
No.
Okay, cool. So just narratively, each describe really quick what your sort of moment of clashing with these things looks like, and how neither you nor them really get hurt quite yet.
Okay. So I'm going to say that Theo's trying to take his maybe his squire training from when he was in court to flank the enemy, but every time he moves sideways, it seems to be their forte to move sideways, and I cannot get on either side of them. So it's sort of this stalemate of lateral movement.
Nice. You cannot flank a crab. Scuttle.
Learned it today.
No. They scuttle. They scuttle.
Nice.
I think I do my cool messenger spell, and it's something very Disney princess of sort of like a and like the seagull comes down and like perches on my shoulder, and I'm like whisper, 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 and then it goes and flies off. And while I'm waiting for it to summon friends, I keenly take out my hand crossbow from behind my back and start firing at crab. Claws. We're going to say claws. I'm going to try to aim for the claws since the birds are going to go for the eyes.
There you go.
Mhm.
And if we
And-
get the crab meat, y'all, we going to have extra special dinner.
Extra special dinner.
No offense to any vegetarians.
Yes. Or crustaceans.
Or crab people. Yeah.
Or crab people. Yes. Obeha is has backed up as far as he can, and he has removed his what he stole that got him kicked out of the Storm Seeker's Arcanum. It is the first scroll of storms, and he's attempting to do an incantation that will create like a small maelstrom and break apart their log ship. But it's proving fairly difficult since he doesn't have the proper training because he stole it and then was expelled.
Nice. Yeah, and if this weren't in combat, we might get more into that more technically, but that makes sense that you're you don't quite have that one down, and it's not you're working in the heat of battle, as it were.
Right. I'm like,
Yeah. So I don't think you really have the option of running away. You're on the ship they're boarding. Normally, that might be a thing to negotiate since you didn't kill it. So unless anyone wants to do something different, we're going to do another round of combat. What that means is we add another dice. So again, higher chance of killing them, also a higher chance of your weak point coming up. So everyone roll one more d6, and I will roll one as well. So we're rolling 4 of them.
I misunderstood. Did we keep our old roll? Is that what you said? And like adding this
you
to
just
that, or no? Just a new roll?
No, new roll. You just remember your weak point. So you're just rolling another d6.
Yeah. 2. I guess it's an improvement.
1, but I didn't hit my weak point.
Did you roll an Aki yet?
Oh, you get
muted. Oh, you're muted. Sorry. Oh,
I was still on roll for your party. I got a 6.
Nice. I rolled a 3 over here, so that is enough to. I'm going to say, also because of time reasons, I say it's enough to like subdue the first wave of them that is there. So Beha rolled a 6, and then what did you roll for Rose?
2 for me.
That was a 2. Oh, a 1. Okay. Yeah, just for fun, each of you narrate what you're doing in the combat. Like if you, I'm going to say, let's go Chris, then Sky, and then Aki last. You sort of narrate your killing blow because you rolled a 6.
Okay, I'm going to say
what does it
that.
Look like on screen.
Theo has his mop in front of him, and realizing he cannot move to either side, he straight on uses his swabbing technique to bop the crab off the ship. So he goes for a straight ahead attack.
Joust.
Yes, he jousts him with a mop off the ship.
Yeah, one of them goes flying and then falls on its back on top of the log, and it's scrabbling.
Oh, I hate that. That's the worst when they do this. I don't like that at all. I get it off the ship so I don't have to see it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out of sight of you. You don't see it. Yeah. Sky, what does Rose do? So
Sorry, I was feeding a wee feline crab down on the ground here.
Oh yeah. It's another horrible image for another game. Thank you. I will write that one down.
Since I got a 1, I'm just gonna say that I'm firing a lot of misses at crab claws, and it's a lot of little crossbow bolts going right past them into the water, where I'll probably never get them back again. But I'll say that like my birds show up and start poking the eyes out.
Makes sense. Oh, actually, I just remembered. Aki rolled a 6, which was your weak point, right?
My weak point, yes.
Yeah, so a 6 came up.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, and you said your weak point was that you were distracted, and I want to say that while you are, you've done that ritual, you're like talking to the bird, you're watching them show up, and they do start to show up pretty quickly. You look down, and one of them has, it's being knocked down, in the chaos of the battle, but one of the sort of big fiddler crab types has latched onto your ankle. And it's got you by the ankle pretty solidly. You can't just back away, and it's starting to crush. There's our crab friend walking in. Nice. So that's going to be 1 ruin to you, unless you want to, like, it doesn't really matter. It's a 1 shot, but normally that would be take a ruin or erase your armor. The armor takes the hit for you.
My ruin is currently at a 4. So let's say, for the sake of the game being interesting, that my ruin does go up, and it goes up to 5.
Ooh.
Yeah. And let's say you take the condition. I'm going to say you are hobbled because that claw cuts into it. It wounds your ankle. It's almost like gets into your tendon there a little bit. So like you can still walk, but if you had to like run or something, that might put you at a disadvantage.
And this is how Rose got a peg leg.
Am I still enthralled? Am I enthralled and hobbled, or is enthralled gone? Go.
I think that's up to you. I think it's a fictional thing. I like the idea that that's a lasting thing, that maybe, when you see the ocean, you remember school of fish swims over Carl or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
Obeha.
Obeha. Yes.
Yeah, what does your
Obeha.
killing blow look like?
Yes. So Obeha tries to do the ritual. It's not quite working. And so he re-rolls the Storm Scroll maybe later. And he does he has a ritual already called Drain, where he's able to remove water from a person or animal. So I think that partially the unfinished ritual of the first storm, whatever, Scroll of Storms, and his drain thing allow him to start pulling more than he intended water out of these crabs and turning them into desiccated husks. But as it's happening, he's being filled with water. So he's also like tears are coming out of his eyes and like maybe a lot of saliva is coming out of his mouth. It's all salty water. And he's like got both hands up. He's kind of not in control, but it's working. And so he's sort of like, playing it off. And I think, so he's like vomiting again, salt water or something, but he's draining these crabs.
And just to make it more gross, if it wasn't already, I think, building off of what Sky said, I think draining them also involves like you're literally sucking their essence out of their shells, like they crack, and there's like crab meat that's just like being pulled out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now you have, which I mean,
Yeah.
debatable if they're crab or if they're people or whatever, but there's some crab meat on the deck at the end of this.
There's crab meat on the deck.
I put my hands up, drain a crab. Baby, how you feeling? Obeha obliteration.
Yeah,
There
I
must
guess
be
no
a
one else can
scientific
see.
explanation for this.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Our
How's
private
this
chat
for
is
science. Yeah.
yeah. We've got the hashtags on this side: Obeha obliteration, lobstrosities. Pretty impressive.
That's a Stephen King reference. I can't take credit for that one.
Nice.
Yeah. I wrote it down because I thought it was great. Yes.
I will make a promise to, before we close this out, after we finish, to copy and paste all of them into a post and put it on Friend Jam event page, just so that everyone can see them. And for those who didn't watch the show, there will be like no context and they'll not know.
And for people
I'll
who
keep
did
the-
see the show, will be like, "What?"
Right.
What in the world?
I'll keep the the upwards of PG-13 ones
Yes.
off there.
Sure.
I won't-
Things get a little blue.
Putting the link there one more time, since we are playing at Friend Jam, and instead of tips for the artist, we're just doing this for fun. But if you feel inspired, nice. Please,
donate to the
ACLU.
ACLU.
I was waiting for you.
I'm really good at trying to do these like 15-second songs now. So
It's so good. Yeah. So yeah, we have 15 minutes left or so to wrap up the combat part. Again, it's a one shot, sort of. Normally, there's more things that can happen from this, but you kill them. We get to roll a bunch of d6s and see if you harvest any parts that are valuable. So, 2, 3, 4. I'm just gonna roll these real quick.
While you're
7
rolling,
dice.
let me take this moment just to say while you're rolling that the next place to go for Friend Jam 3.0 is over onto Instagram. And you can play, if you've gotten a taste for games during this last couple hours, this almost 3-hour tour, you can go play a live guessing game done by my friend Candace Gallmeyer, and her Instagram handle is Nice and Loud, all spelled out. And you can play her game, What Is It? The winner of the game will be receiving a prize live during the rap party tonight. And you get to basically guess. There'll be these zoomed in or super blurry pictures of things. And the idea is that you sort of guess what they are. She puts it in her Instagram story. So the whole story with all of the options to guess will be there starting at exactly 5 p.m.
It's a crab.
Awesome.
That's what it is.
It's a crap.
a
And just wanted to mention too, really quick, because we're doing the bookkeeping stuff. Blaine was chatting, and I'm going to put his thing in the public comments. He has a really cool podcast I've listened to just a little bit. Hope to hear more, but it's called "You Are Not Alone."
That sounds cool.
A one-on-one horror podcast focusing on telling intense and personal horror stories. Every episode is based on fears the guest wants to explore, and Blaine uses a lot of different role-playing games for that. Super cool stuff. So I'm going to put that in these comments. And just because, there we go. I like seeing what the players come up with. You find, let's say you find two valuable parts among all of these crab folk that you could sell for a treasure. It could either be literal parts of them or treasures you salvage. Do each of you want to describe something that you find after the fight? Or anyone not playing? I guess you're all playing. Wow. Nice. Or we can keep playing.
I just feel like I'm playing muted. Let's do this for one more second. Let's do this for one more second, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, here we go.
That's much cooler. Scrabbling claws, rusted scimitars.
Oh yeah,
remnants of a failed pirate crew.
They attempted to commandeer a ship we had just commandeered.
Never
There's
more.
a 5-second rule on commandeering.
That's right. We'd only just commandeered it.
Theo will find a necklace-sized crab claw that he will wear in honor of this battle that he is. It's actually his first battle of his young adult life against crabs. I don't know how his father would feel about it, but it happened.
He was victorious. Yeah.
That sounds like a great friendship bracelet sort of thing. So perhaps we should all crack off a crab claw. And I mean, if everyone
crack off a crab claw.
No, wait, no, I can beat you to it. No,
and perhaps we should all fashion some sort of crab claw necklace.
I did it wrong. Yes. I think we crack off a bunch of crab claws and create friendship necklaces. Or they're like we make a bunch and we hang them on our wooden
friends.
Wooden friends.
And, we do have wooden friends.
It's like people we know who the people of the ship of our company wear a crab claw that have been through battle
with crabs.
With crabs especially. We're the crab claw crew.
We're the crab claw crew.
Crab claw crew.
Crab claw crew.
Which you popped in the private chat.
With the 3 C's on the high seas. Wow. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I think that Obeha will find some sort of weird, glittering, dark stone from the burst innards of one of the crab claw people. And he will know it has some connection to their half animal, half humanoid form, but he won't know quite what it is. Something to research for later.
Indeed. Yeah.
Stone or some sort of weird little thingy.
I'm thinking Rose will find a particular crab claw that has some remnants of scales on it, as if it was gripped by some sort of a scaled ally of sorts, maybe before it climbed on to the ship. And she will take 2 of those claws and she will make one for her and she will throw one to the sea for our friend who we freed in hopes. Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's it.
We have a few more minutes, and there's a couple more things that are still in store. We're going to end on maybe some hints for the next adventure.
Ooh.
But as you're brushing yourselves off, picking up these different things you found after the battle, adorning the mannequin crew, which offer no objection. Now they're looking a little more ornamented, and some of the seagulls that you've brought in through your spell are kind of interested in the hanging crab claws that you've decorated them with, and they're kind of pecking at the scraps. But the ship, much more slowly now and less animated, is still drifting towards its goal. And you've seen on the map that it was this cluster of islands. And up ahead, you see what looks like a lighthouse that's kind of at the sorry, I don't know the terms. Like the lagoon, like an opening to where the islands are spreading out. And as you get closer, you see it's a much bigger, also like a driftwood tree, like it's dried out, kind of like the one that these crab folk had floated in on. And the bottom is open. It almost forms like a bridge, think of those redwoods that have like the little tunnel carved out at the bottom. It's kind of like that. It's opened up, and the boat is drifting right towards the middle of it, like it's going into a gate. And as it gets closer, you hear these different sort of scraping and unfurling sounds, and you see that the different timbers of the ship are starting to kind of loosen themselves and shift and kind of open up, and start the whole form of the ship starts to transform a little bit. And as it passes through the gate of this big driftwood tree and gets closer to, I guess, its final destination, this island, it starts to, it does this very slowly so you don't lose your footing or anything. You're kind of standing in the middle of the deck of the ship. But all around you, the timbers of the boat start to transform, and you all are rising up further and further out of the water. And the timbers are shifting and becoming a lighthouse, little by little. And it's kind of like the ship has made its final course, and it's meant to rest here. You don't really know to what purpose. But the very end, the kind of closing moment we see is the three of you standing on the deck of the ship, which is now up in the air, and the timbers have sort of unfolded around it and kind of rearranged themselves. And the mannequin crew is kind of assisting with this and putting them in place, and slowly, solemnly sort of climbing down the sides of this still rune inscribed magical lighthouse at the edge of this series of islands. And everything still kind of hums and glows with that arcane power. You look down and see the bottom of the deck that you're all standing around has that kind of crystal orb that seemed to steer or power everything. And Rose, at one point you notice your foot's close to it, or maybe you accidentally brush it, but it kind of glows and lights up in response to you. Perhaps something to do with your father running a ship for a long time and you being connected to the family line. Is there any other final moments that you guys want to have, little epilogue moments of your character in the scene?
Beha's just like, wow, what a day. And also, where are we and what's next? But he has no clue.
So Theo looks at the ship transform into this magnificent structure, and that's quite the bit of mechanical ingenuity they've put into this piece right here. Now,
if you say science one more time,
I went with the mechanical, but are the wooden golem-like creatures also fusing into this building, or are they also like still with us in a way?
I think both. I think some are sort of climbing down and like pushing timbers into, and actually I like that idea that maybe at least one or two of them are kind of like finally like sitting down and becoming part of the structure and like taking a rest, and their arms kind of become part of the top of the tower. Maybe they're like permanent sentries now.
And then the last thing Theo thinks is, Father, be so proud that I won my first battle. Wait, how am I going to get back home now?
I think that's when Rose takes hands with both of her friends, and she says, "Friends, I think we are home now."
Wait,
sort of
what?
with a
Smash
confused
cut.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, what?
But-
Rez?
I don't know, because home is where your heart is, and we've all been through this together.
Yes, we're just three friends in a jam.
That's the
Potentially,
credit cut right there.
Yeah.
I'm so
do
glad
think
I
that
met
that-
you all about 30 minutes ago. This is the best day of my life.
Yeah, I suppose this voyage maybe was a couple days. Yeah. Anyway.
a
But that
3-hour tour.
nice.
There's
That final
one.
shot zooming out is that that
Calvin
orb.
just said, "Whoa!"
You still got to make it weird. It can be lighthearted, but you got to throw stuff in there.
Yeah.
But that crystal orb is almost, as you say, like we're in this together. It's something about the heart. It's like beating and glowing like a heart, almost, or like a beacon. And there's still very much a lot of magical power alive in this structure that seemed to change its own shape. So
What do
many
you
mysteries to
expect?
be discovered.
We're in the Poker Cokes.
Yeah, there's all kinds of legends about the poker cokes.
Let's rage.
Distant lightning and thunder, and zoom out, and the three of you looking over the horizon and the distant, ominous peaks of the Poker Coke Islands.
Aki, you start. Thank you for watching The Friend Quest on Friend Jam 3.0. Let's give it
Hosted
up
by-
for our,
Thank you.
let's give it up for our
Founded by-
host, Gabriel Robinson.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I was going to say our host of the jam itself, Sky Zents, our amazing players, Chris Plausa and Aki Bernice. Always a blast to play with y'all, and the musical improvs are incredible. I just get to sit here and make up nothing, and you guys come up with amazing stuff. So it's always super fun to play.
And
Tune in
please,
next.
now, go to Instagram at nice and loud, all spelled out, to play. What is it?
What is it? It's a crab.
What is it?
It's a crap.
And-
It's crap.
Out.
Woo! Man, that was fun.
Are we
Chris,
still
that was
live?
great.